What is up, everybody? Jester here, and man, it feels like it's been months since I've made a video, and I know this one's coming out about 3 weeks after the last, and look, there's a couple of reasons. First, the work's been kicking my butt, and that's no excuse necessarily, but I'm working on it. We're getting there. Second reason is there's not been a whole lot going on in No Man's Sky since Aquarius dropped. There wasn't a lot of depth to this with just the fishing, but I'm sure that's about to change here in the next couple of weeks with the potential for Worlds Part 2 to be coming out. And we're looking forward to that for sure. But today I wanted to focus on finishing up what we started in the Farming 101 series, and today we're going to be talking about Nanites. I mean, it's one thing to tell you how to recharge everything in your ship and your exosuit for free. It's another thing to make all the units in the world using minerals and plants for crafting. But it's another thing entirely for some reason when we start talking about Nanites. And another reason this video is taking a little bit longer is because I wanted to do this a little more comprehensive. There's some bad ways to make Nanites in here, there's some good ways, and there's one brand new way that I've never really seen anybody talk about. We've got so much to cover when it comes to Nanites in 2024. Let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about when it comes to Nanites is old hat to a lot of us veterans, but I know there's been a huge inflow of new players since Worlds Part 1, and I don't want this to get overlooked. It's so simple, but scanning. It's not only a really good source of units, but it's also a really good source of Nanites. And what I would do is you make units in Nanites and reinvest back in your character. Get the new multi-tool with the units that has more slots. Get your new technology modules and upgrade your scanner so you can make even more units in Nanites out of all the things you're scanning. To collect the Nanites, all you have to do is go into your Discoveries tab every once in a while and upload all. And depending on how good your scanner is, you'll get the associated Nanites. It's just free, and you should be doing this regardless of any methods of making Nanites. If the mood should happen to strike you and you decide you want to put gold and silver into a refiner, sure, it makes platinum. This takes about 33 minutes or so because you got to do it twice to get this refined down into one stack. And then once you get it refined, it doesn't take very long for it to become 285 nanites. It's just such a bad method. Don't do it. Sell the gold and silver. I proved in the money making video that it's the best selling metal out there. We can make more nanites with those units than you can do with the platinum. It's just not worth your time. For the next two methods of making nanites, we're going to have ourselves a little fireside chat, and that's because I believe this section is going to upset some people. And that's fine. It's okay that you don't agree with me. It's okay that I don't agree with you. From their point of view, these two methods are actually the best way to go about making nanites. And we're going to talk about that in the end. But from the perspective I look at this from, they're not very good at all. And I can justify all of this by showing you both tainted metal and Highland brains. To get tainted metal, you just go to a scrap dealer on any space station. He will sell you the coordinates for one of these derelict freighters. And the funny part about these derelict freighters is they're actually better for nanites for other stuff than the tainted metal we're here for. But you can run these kind of like a dungeon, and most dungeons and other games have loot tables. This one's no different. Tainted metal is part of that, but you can clearly see we're making a lot of units, we're getting a lot of good stuff here, and this is just a small clip. The problem with tainted metal is when you put it in a refiner, you're not getting it in big quantities. My one run, we got 53. Yes, it is a 1-to-2 ratio, but we got 53. That's 106 nanites. We've made more opening the briefcase little items on the derelict freighter than we were ever going to get from the tainted metal. And maybe I should just make a separate video when it comes to derelicts, because it's probably the best thing that was added to the game, and I don't even know how long, because it's so useful on so many levels. Tainted metal just isn't one of them if you play it straight up. As far as the Highland brain goes, it is absolutely one of the most powerful items in the game when it comes to nanites, and I have no question about that. My big question when it comes to this method is the actual validity, because these aren't easy to come by. You either have to fight a freighter to get the AI fragment, a sentinel freighter to get the AI fragment, or you have to find them randomly, which is not all that easy. But when you put this in a refiner, it has got a whopping 1-to-230 ratio. So if you can get a full stack of these, it's 2,300 nanites. But it's not going to happen as quickly as you think it's going to. It's going to take you a lot of time to go get in the fights, and maybe your ship or your gear isn't really ready for all of that. There's only one reason these two methods are the most commented. And this is the part of the video where you guys go grab your popcorn, because I'm going to give you my full take when it comes to why these are the most mentioned methods of making nanites, and it's all about duplication. And some people want to play with duplication, and that's fine. Some people don't want to play with duplication, and that's absolutely fine. This is a sandbox. Nobody should give a damn how anybody plays the game except for yourself. It just doesn't affect me in any way. If there was some kind of global economy that I was ruining because I was duplicating something, I understand. But we don't have that in this game. So the purist, you know, if you want to play that way, cool, but don't try to force it on everybody. So look, my big point about the duplication is I'm not going to teach it because I want to show you guys how to be successful without using it. If you want to go do it, I'm never going to think any less of you. I'm never going to care. And I feel like anybody that comes in and tells me this is the best way to do it, you're correct. I fully admit you're correct. That most likely the Highland Brain duplication method is the way to go. And I have no problem saying that. But at the same time, if you want to do it straight up, I'm going to show you guys how you can spend your time playing the game and make them a little more naturally. With that elephant finally out of the room, let's talk about a way that you can actually make nanites that's a pretty good time, and that's salvaged glass. Now, to get salvaged glass, just go out and pick a fight with some sentinels. Not everybody's going to be ready for this straight away. You're going to want to be able to kill these guys without too much danger to yourself. But at the same time, they do drop this salvaged glass, which you can then open from your inventory, and inside of its loot table, you can get these upgrades you can sell back for nanites, but you're also going to be able to get stuff you can either sell for units or you can actually use them in crafting recipes. So it's kind of a win-win. And if I'm being honest, this is kind of a fun way to go out and do it. Just be careful when you're on the planet to not go all the way through the level 5 fight because it'll shut them down. If you can run and hide, you can reset this over and over again, and it'll be a lot quicker to get these salvage glass. In the now distant past, when it comes to No Man's Sky, the best possible way to make nanites was scrapping ships at space stations. And this was quite a bit of fun back in the day because you were frantically running around trying to buy all the ships you could, sometimes the B class, certainly the A class and the S class ships, so that when you took them to the scrap, you could actually get sellable modules back out of them. And sadly, the spawns are kind of just broken at this point a little bit, but there is something you can do this for, and that is going to be the storage augmentations. This opens up your ship storage, and it's worth doing it, even though you're going to lose units. Hell, I've just showed you guys how you can make all the units you'll ever need. So go do this specifically to get your ship unlocked. The next method is going to get called out as an exploit by somebody, and you can say what you want to, but I'm going to tell you this is actually exactly working as designed, as intended, because I discovered this completely by accident doing the homework for this video. And if it wasn't for my settlement being in the kingdom system and me being a rank 6 with the Gek, I would have never discovered it. But strange things happen on the space station when you have that high rank. When you're in a controlled system that you have a rank 6 with that species, you get discounts for all the different modules you buy. In my case, it's 50%. And then you can sell them back for more than you bought them for. To my knowledge, this is the best way to make nanites because you're using nanites to make more nanites. But again, you gotta have that level 6 and you gotta be able to get the discount and then sell it for a profit. You guys can call this an exploit if you want to. I didn't program the game. I didn't ask for the discount. They gave it to me. I just found this, and I think it's a pretty good method of making nanites if you've got the rank in that system or with that race to get it done. I've showed you guys some good ways and some bad ways at this point to make nanites, but I think it's time that we get into my top 3, what I consider to be the most efficient methods of actually making nanites. And some people are going to say that salvage glass should be in the 3 spot, and this is going to be pretty controversial in itself, but I think for the little risk that you have with it, and you can do it from so early on, it's such a good addition to the game, even though so many people hate it. I kind of can't even believe I'm about to say this, but fishing, I think, is the 3rd most efficient way to make nanites in 2024, outside of duplication. And is it boring? Yeah, it's very tedious. You have to be here to do it. But look, I've proven in other videos you can make about 6K an hour just doing this. And because you can do it so early, just have to have anomaly access to get the recipe for the actual fishing rod. And then you're good and you can fish. And then from there, you just need to craft the best rarity bait you can and maximize your time. It's kind of insane that this worked out because of a picture on Reddit that the developers liked of a guy sitting on his ship and fishing, which I still doubt because I don't think something like this comes together that fast. But how do you randomly put the 3rd best method in the game? And it actually gets better because of the other stuff they added. Another addition that's kind of been overlooked is the automatic fish harvesters that they put in when they put in Aquarius. These things work when you're not working. As long as you're playing the game, they're catching fish, and it does catch good fish. Look at that S-Class. We're getting all of that, and all you have to do is go and let these things go, and you get nanites for that. I don't know how anybody can argue that this is a good way to do things, even though it's kind of boring, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But the results are the results. Look, say what you want to about fishing, but it's kind of incredible that they added this into the game. And it kind of silently became this good when it comes to nanites, this early and this under-equipped. It's a really great way, and so many people crapped on this freaking method. Just right out of the gate, I don't want to fish. I don't want to fish. Get off my lawn. It shouldn't be that way when it comes to the game. I'm frustrated with the things that they're not putting in as well, or the things they're not working on. But this is good. This is actually a good method. But when it comes to the top two methods, look, runaway mold is definitely second best. Finding these 3-star curious deposits can be really quick. You might just happen to find it, or it could take you a while. It just depends on the kind of planet and what the 3-star resource is going to be. For me, I got lucky. Gaia 2 in the Kingdom system, I'll put a card up in the top right corner, is littered with these things. I already have 3 of these bases set up, this being the 3rd one. And when I do set up these bases, what I like to do is just build a basic structure that offers a little bit of protection from the elements, somewhere that I can shoot from and then move on. So to do that, what I like to do is add not only just all the refiners you can, which is going to be 2 large and 3 mediums, unless you want to glitch build, and again, that's fine if that's how you play, but also a teleporter. So that way you can move on to the next one just as soon as you get the runaway mold in the refiners that you got from this base. And then you move on to the next runaway mold farm to do the same thing. From there, just start shooting. And this is going to greatly vary because everybody's multi-tool is different. It's all about your laser and as to how quickly you get and your yields. So it's tough to say exactly how much you get. But once you do get a full stack, just put it in a refiner, and in 20 minutes, you get 2,000 nanites. It's really not that bad, and if you've been working on your multi-tool, this is a really, really good method if you set it up correctly. Really, the only limiting factor when it comes to runaway mold is going to be refiners. Now, yes, you can have more than one spot where you've got runaway mold deposits and be able to mine them. I think maybe the butter zone's about 3 on that, probably closer to 2, but if you have one that you can go back and forth from, and then you've got, say, the 10 refiners, by the time that first refiner is done, you're going to be able to mine the new runaway mold and put it in, and that way you don't really lose anything. So as far as efficiency goes, I think 2, but maybe about 3. It also kind of depends on how good, again, your multi-tool is and how quickly you can get everything done. And that's if you're even trying to speed run this. Efficiency-wise, this can be upwards of 50K plus an hour if you have everything set up and ready to go. But this method isn't what it used to be. Going forward from here, it will be, but it isn't what it used to be, and I've got video evidence on that. I've yet another time where Hello Games nerfed something and told no one. Over a year ago, I made the first runaway mold about making honest nanites, and even some people said these weren't honest because you were using an exploit to respawn stuff. Whatever on that, but this was the biggest deposit I had ever seen at 26 pieces. And when I actually shot everything, was able to get 17,735 runaway mold per go, which was a pretty good number. The problem with this is somewhere between then and now, and I'm blaming Worlds Part 1 because I'm pretty sure that's what did it. These don't have the same number or the same yields they used to have. What we used to have was a 26 piece. It's now a 17. They reduced it by 9. And I'm pretty sure, again, that's Worlds Part 1. And not only that, but we're now only getting 11,092 per mining session at this base. And what that means is my yields are actually down from 682 per piece to 652. And that could be variance in the test. But, going forward, it is what it is. But going forward, there's one better way of making nanites. And it's a lot of fun if you've got the units to do it. To get started on the most efficient way to make nanites, just go into space, go to your galaxy map, and then what you're going to be doing is scrolling for a pirate system. Now, I recommend you go to free look mode, and that way you can find them a little bit easier, but you're going to want to have multiples of these on your list, 15 to 20 of them. So it doesn't matter about the planets, how many there are, what's there. We're just looking for the pirate systems. Once you get there, go to the station and land. Now it's going to be on your teleport list. And this is where things start to actually get a little bit fun. Once you're down in the outlaw station, just go over to the contraband agent. He's in the same place on every one of these stations, and start buying up the suspicious packet of arms and tech. And these are going to be really good because it's a better drop rate than salvage glass. This is like an 80 or a 90% drop rate for getting modules, whereas the salvage glass is more like 30 or 40%. So, and still, even when you get stuff that isn't the technology module, you're still going to be able to either make nanites or units. So it's still pretty darn good. To sell them back, just go over to the salvage dealer and again, sell them. And now you're just making nanites. It's really just that simple. And you can do this if you've got the right kind of list, 15 or 20 of these in a row. It's really good. And to get that accomplished, what I like to do is go to my space stations tab, and I scroll all the way to the bottom because that's going to be the one that you visited the longest time ago. From there, just select that and then go on to the next one, rinse and repeat. The reason I've mentioned a couple of times that you want a lot of these stations in your teleport list is because it takes about an hour to an hour and a half, give or take, for these things to fully restock in each one of these outlaw stations, which means you're going to have, I don't know, about 3 to 5 minutes on each station that it's going to take to get everything purchased, to get everything opened, to get everything sold, to get back to the teleporter, and then move on to the next one. And that way, if you've got a big enough list, by the time you come back to the end, or the beginning, as it is, of the list, it's fully restocked. If there was 4 there, there'll be 4 there. If there was 8 there, there'll be 8 there. And this is going to net you between 60 and 70,000 nanites an hour, depending on how many you're actually purchasing in the systems you have. But what if I told you there's a way and other things you can buy in these same systems that are going to enhance that number even more and make your time more valuable? One method I haven't mentioned at this point is actually finding one of these abandoned buildings and farming up the whispering eggs for larval cores. Now you can get these, you're going to end up in a fight with the swarm, but really they're not too bad if you've got decent gear and a decent weapon. You can pretty much get through them fairly quickly. But what if I told you you can actually just buy these on these pirate stations? Oftentimes in these stations you can find the larval core as well as the hadal core, which is found from the underwater creatures. That's kind of a pain in the butt to gather these in bulk, but you can get them pretty quick. Here you see we got 5 and we got 5, and these are pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and purchase the hypnotic eyes. I'm going to show you why they're not that good, but the larval and hadal cores, they're a really nice addition since you're going to be here anyway. The reason I didn't really talk about hypnotic eyes as being a source, and it does refine down to living slime, and very quickly at that, is because once you get the living slime and put it back into your refiner, it's now going to become runaway mold at 5 minutes. And you're going to get a 5-to-1 ratio from runaway mold to nanites. It's just not very darn good, and it just takes more time than it's worth. But if you want to buy those, by all means, buy them. When it comes to the hadal cores and the larval cores, you get the same 1-to-50 ratio when put into a refiner, meaning a stack of 10 will get you 500 in 2 seconds. So if you've watched my videos in the past and I've showed you how to make units, spend them here. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's a really nice addition to the already best method of making nanites in the game. It's just going to make it better. There is one other method of making nanites that I intentionally left out of this video, and that's going to be cooking in the nutrient processor. And that's because it is so convoluted to figure out the better recipes, and it takes so long to make the components to make the better recipes. And then once you do, you go to Kronos in the anomaly, and he only gives you a spattering of nanites. It's so small, and you have to turn them in one at a time. It's very inefficient, but I do recommend you guys try it because it is fun to try to figure out some of these recipes. And look, you can use these for your living frigates if you have those. You can also get certain boosts if you eat these products. So cooking's not without merit, but at the same time, it's not good for nanites. What is good for nanites, if you're a beginning player, go fishing. It's so simple and it's so risk-free for the most part that there's no way around it. If you're a little more intermediate, try the runaway mold. And if you've got a ton of units, you've been watching my videos and you're now making a bunch of units, do the pirate systems because this is the best way to make nanites. Hopefully you guys like these kind of deep dives into topics like this. If you do, like the video and subscribe because it's not going to be another 3 weeks before I make another video. But at the same time, I do this all the time where I try to give you guys the best information out there. And again, if you like it, subscribe. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.